We would like to start off our transmission today with the word of molecules. And what we want you to do is to think about all of the places that you have been in your life, even if it's just in the last week, to think about how you move through time and how you move through space. And the molecules that you have are consistent, and yet they are ebbing and flowing. If you could imagine yourself as you run fast, let's say, your molecules and the parts of you, sometimes they don't catch up with you. In other words, you are moving very fast through time and space, and then some of the trails you might see from your own molecules in your body and in your etheric body is trailing you. And then also, if you can imagine running really fast and then stopping on a dime really fast, some of those molecules actually keep going forward because your forward motion is still going in those molecules. And oftentimes they will thrust forward in front of you. And it takes a little bit for all of those molecules to settle back in when you are stopped, when you are still, when you are alone, meaning when you are moving through your day and you are moving through your life. Sometimes you go fast, sometimes you go slow. And if you can imagine and think of and feel into the fact that you are almost liquid molecules, meaning that it sloshes around a bit in your space, and you leave a trail when you go through time, and you leave a signature. And sometimes those signatures are in back of you and some are in front of you. And oftentimes, many of you might feel lost, or many of you might feel not sure which way to go. And when you're standing still trying to make a decision about anything, then you have to take pause for a moment for all of your molecules to catch up with you in a way that you feel whole and complete. And that is what many people call the mystic experience of awakening, is because you have a lightning bolt thought, or you have a lightning bolt sense to make a move or take a new decision, or have an awareness that you haven't had before. And it is like the light bulb that comes on that becomes your way of being. What we mean by all of this is, if you can imagine that like a cartoon where you're running fast and everything has to catch up with you once you stop, and once you stop, everything kind of moves forward because it is liquid and it has to come back. So what we suggest for many of you, when you pause, or when you're still, or when you meditate, or when you pray, or when you allow yourself to, many of you call it downloads, what we want you to do is to imagine all of your molecules coming back into the sacred space of your unique signature. And it does not have to be confined to your body. Your molecules can be outside of your body as well. However, what we are speaking of is being in tandem with your physical body. It does not matter if it's inside or outside, it just is. In other words, you are made up of all of these molecules, and these are your unique signatures. That is why oftentimes your soul or your spirit feels like it is very big, and it is outside of your body as well. And it truly is. When you were born, that is what happens as well. You are very big, and then you decide for all of your molecules to, or most of your molecules to come into your body, and it feels compacted. And so when you are graduated and released from your body, when you are passing through the veil, you expand again, and you let go of the physical body that has contained a lot of those molecules, but your unique signature does not change. And the unique signature of who you are can be remembered from time to time, from past present, and future. We have told you this before, that when you speak of time, time is, of course, relative to mm, where you are in the moment, in the present moment. And time is speeding up and slowing down at the same time. In other words, your life is a dichotomy from day one. And what we mean by that, there is always physical and non-physical. There is light, dark, right, wrong, good, bad. There is all the above and as below as well. And what we mean by all of that is, if you can imagine that you are embracing all of it, that you are embracing all your molecules, all of the sense of where you're going and why you are here, and all of those questions that many of you seem to ask and want confirmation on, we want to tell you, yes, when you say to yourself, I choose this path, say yes. And when those doubts come up that say, but what about, we want you to put those away in a jar, the what about jar. And what we mean by that is every time you hear yourself say, what about, put that in an invisible jar and let them sit there and simmer for a while, the what abouts. Because after a while, those what abouts that you fill up into a jar, into this etheric jar, will dissipate. It dissipates. And the whatabouts are not so, mm, mm, they're not so connected to your thought anymore. In other words, it can be, as some of you call, a pattern interrupt, by just saying, when you hear yourself say, what about, you put it in the what about jar. And imagine doing that. And oftentimes you forget that the jar is there and you continue on your way. And what we mean by help you, we want to continue giving you things to think about and things to visualize that you can put in concrete way of all of these beliefs and thoughts and terms of why am I here and what do I do? All of those questions that come up as human beings, and to allow yourself to have grace with all of this. And just like a swear jar, you can see your what about jar fill up, and it dissipates, because time dissipates all things.